Hello friends, it's Kristie Marcotte. In today's video, I'll be making cards using Spellbinders Merry Moments Christmas Kit. This kit is packed full of fun Christmas and holiday products. And if you're interested in the kit, I do have links in the description box below. And make sure you watch my unboxing video where I show a close-up look at everything that's included in the kit. I have 10 different card designs to share with you, and I will be making 2 of each card design. For some of the cards, I'll be using card sketches for inspiration. The first sketch is from Freshly Made Sketches. This is number 628. And if you are interested in any of the sketches, including measurements, I share all of that information on my coordinating blog post. The link is in the description box below, or you can simply head over to KristieMarcotte.com. My first card is super simple. For the background, I have the white paper with gold stars and lines, so it has this beautiful shine. That piece is 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches, and I'm layering it on some dark green cardstock. The card kit does include solid cardstock, but I'm also bringing in additional cardstock since I love lots of layers on my cards. For the smaller rectangle piece, I'm using this green, almost a tone-on-tone pattern, and I did layer it on the same dark green cardstock, and that cardstock layer is an additional 1/8 of an inch. Now I am changing up this sketch a bit. Instead of the circle element, I'm adding one of the ephemera pieces, this lovely poinsettia with foliage. I'll put glue on the back, adhere it down, and I'm putting it a little bit higher. That way I have enough space underneath to add one of the ephemera sentiments. Merry Christmas, which is in gold on a light green banner. And I did pop up the sentiment using some thin foam dimension. Before adhering it down, I cut off the bottom area of one of the foliage pieces that was poking out underneath the sentiment. So there is my finished card, and I did make 2 using this design. Since there are 2 of all of the ephemera pieces and 2 sheets of every design of pattern paper, it's easy to make multiples of the same card. For card design number 2, the card sketch is from MFT. This is number 6. For the background of my card, I selected the tone-on-tone light pink map paper. This piece is 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches, and I'm layering it on some orangish red cardstock from my stash. It matches the darker sort of reddish orange stars on the pattern paper. The orange cardstock layer is an additional 1/8 of an inch. Then I'll put adhesive on the back, add my card front onto a card base, leaving 1/8 of an inch of the white card base showing. All of my cards in this video are American Standard A2 size, 4 1/4 inches by 5 1/2 inches. Use the star paper for the angled element. And now I'll add a sentiment and one of the image ephemera pieces, a deer leaping in the air. The sentiment is Happy Holidays, and it's in gold foil, so it's super shiny. I'll layer it on the same orangish cardstock color. And before adhering it down, on the very left side where it goes off of the star pattern paper, I'm adding a scrap piece of black cardstock. This is a fairly heavyweight cardstock, but it's not as thick as foam dimension. I'll put glue on the back, adhere it down, and having that scrap piece on the left side will help that sentiment lay at the same level. I'm creating a little scene for the deer. I used the light teal, sort of bluish cardstock that's included in the kit, cut out a stitch circle die cut. And using the same size circle die, I cut out another circle from some dark green cardstock, and I'll cut a little hillside just using a pair of scissors. Instead of adding the sentiment on top of the circle, creating more layers, I'm cutting the bottom of the circle flat so it'll line up with the top edge of the sentiment. Now I'll put glue on the back of the circle, adhere it above the sentiment on the right side. Behind the deer, I did put some foam dimension, but just behind the antler area. I used the small foam squares from scrapbook.com in the 1mm thickness. The card kit does include foam dimension, but I think it's at least a 2, maybe 3mm foam, so it's much thicker. Behind the rest of the deer, I'll add glue and adhere the deer down. And for embellishments, I'm using the peach colored sequins that are included in the kit. There are 2 different sizes. I'll put the larger size in the upper right-hand corner and a large and medium size underneath the sentiment on the left side. So there is my finished card, and I did make 2 using this design. For card design number 3, the sketch is from Cards TV. It's sketch number 62. I selected 4 pattern papers for this card. The very background is the red tone-on-tone, sort of looks like a sweater pattern. For the strip on the left side, it has the yellowish gold twinkle stars. The square, I'm using the green tone-on-tone pattern. And the narrow strip on the left side features lots of different tiny ornaments. I'm layering the green square on some of the gold mirror cardstock that's included in the kit. That cardstock layer is an additional 1/8 of an inch, so you'll just see a tiny bit of it peeking out around the edge. I'll adhere the twinkle star pattern paper piece on the left side, and instead of adding more layers, this time I'll put a Love from Lizi peel off along the edge. This is the gold mirror color in pinstripe style. And this gold color almost matches the gold mirror cardstock perfectly. I'm using the medium width, and I did cut it a little bit longer than the pattern paper piece. I'll simply wrap the ends around the back, put ATG tape on the back, and layer this piece on some red cardstock. And I believe this red cardstock is included in the kit. There are 2 different shades of red. I'll put more adhesive on the back and add my card front onto a card base, leaving 1/8 of an inch of the white card base showing. For the red cardstock layer, it's 1/8 of an inch larger than the pattern paper background. Next, I'll add the green square piece with that gold border. Put adhesive on the back, adhere it about in the center of the card. Before adding the last pattern paper piece, I'll put a scrap piece of cardstock on the top and bottom area, just where it goes off of the green square piece. Then I'll add more adhesive and adhere it on the left side of the card. Even with all the pattern paper and cardstock layers, this card will still be fairly flat, and I should be able to mail it without paying any additional postage. For a sentiment, I'm using some of the washi tape stickers. I'll add the words peace and joy on one of the cardstock stickers. I'll put the word peace on the left side and then joy on the right side. And it's a little hard to see in the video, but that cardstock sticker has some tiny little dots, and the dots go straight across, so I'm using those to help get the 2 words nice and straight. Before adhering it down, I will put a scrap piece of cardstock on the right side, just in the area where it goes off of the ornament pattern paper strip. And on the very end, that very right side, I'll add an additional cardstock piece. That way it doesn't dip down on the end. The larger black cardstock piece, I did cut the 2 corners on the end. That way they're not peeking out from the cardstock sticker. After adding the teeny tiny cardstock piece on the very right side, I'll put glue on the back. And I am adding a little bit of glue behind the sticker area. Never hurts to have some extra adhesive. Then I'll adhere it on the card, following the design of the card sketch. For a little extra detail, I'll use another cardstock sticker. This little green tag sort of banner has the word joyful and a white star. I'll put it in the upper right-hand corner of the green square. For a final finishing touch, I'm using some Love from Lizi mini circle peel-offs as embellishment. This is the gold mirror color. I'll put 3 in the upper left-hand corner and 2 underneath the sentiment on the right side. So there is my finished card, and I did make 2 using this design. Since there aren't duplicates of the stickers, for the other card, I added the sentiment, Happy Christmas. For card design number 4, the card sketch is from Cards TV. This is number 63. For 2 of the squares, I'm using the same pattern paper, dark green with gold stars and lots of fun candy canes. For the very background of the card, it looks like a red solid, but this is one of the pattern papers. It's tone on tone and has very light print of a bunch of Christmas sentiments. I layered the 2 candy cane pattern paper squares on black cardstock. And before adding them on the background, I'll put 2 Love from Lizi peel-offs across the card using the pinstripe style in gold mirror. I used the widest and medium widths. I'll wrap the ends around the back, layer this piece on black cardstock. The red background piece is 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches, and the black cardstock layer is an additional 1/8 of an inch. I'll put more adhesive on the back and add my card front onto a card base, leaving 1/8 of an inch of the white card base showing. Now I'll add the 2 candy cane squares on the left side of the card. I'll put adhesive on the back and add the first square in the upper left-hand corner. Then I'll add the second square in the lower left-hand corner. And I'm using the top square as a guide, trying to get them evenly spaced on the left side of the card. Now on the card sketch, there is a 3rd square, but I'll be changing that and adding a rectangle using one of the sentiment ephemera pieces. Have yourself a merry little Christmas. I'll first layer it on black cardstock, and before adhering it down, I'll put that scrap piece of cardstock on the right side, just in the area where it goes off of the candy cane squares. Then I'll put glue on the back and adhere it in place. For a little extra detail and to tie in with the candy cane pattern paper, I'm adding one of the candy cane ephemera pieces. The very right side of the red and pink candy cane will go off the edge of the sentiment ephemera piece, so I did put some foam dimension behind that area. I'll remove the release paper, then add glue behind the rest of the ephemera piece and adhere it on the right side of the sentiment. For embellishments, I'm using more of the mini circle gold mirror peel-offs. Using the largest size, I'll put 3 in the upper right-hand corner. So there is my finished card, and I did make 2 using this design. I've only used this card sketch a couple times, and I don't think I've done a 3rd square for any of them. Now moving on to card design number 5. I selected 2 pattern papers and cut them at an angle. I'll adhere them on some red cardstock, and this color is included in the kit. The 2 pattern paper pieces together are 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches, and the red cardstock layer is 4 1/8 of an inch by 5 3/8 of an inch. For a little bit of separation and shine, and to cover up the gap between the 2 pattern paper pieces, I'll add a Love from Lizi peel-off. This is the straight style in white with gold overlay. I will be adding an image and sentiment on the right side, so I'm using some of the small peel-off scrap pieces. You can see a little gap between those 2, but it will be covered up. Now I'll put ATG tape on the back and add my card front onto a card base, leaving 1/8 of an inch of the white card base showing. Next I'll add a green tag ephemera piece, and I did put foam dimension on the back Decided to use some black foam since it has that dark black background, at least on the top. The black foam is from scrapbook.com. It's their 1/4 inch roll in the 1mm thickness. I'll put the tag on the right side. Next, I'll add one of the ephemera sentiments, Merry and Bright, and I also popped it up using some foam. For an image, this time I'm using one of the foam stickers. It does have adhesive on the back, but I am adding a little extra glue. I want to make sure it doesn't fall off later. I'll put the ornament in the center of the tag, and for embellishments, I'm adding 2 more foam pieces, 2 white stars, and I'll add them in the upper left-hand corner. So there is my finished card, and I did make 2 using this design. The other card has the same pattern paper, I just flipped the designs. For card design number 6, the sketch is from Freshly Made Sketches. This is number 692. For the background of my card, I'm using the cardstock from one of the card bases that's included in the kit. It has a linen texture finish on one side. The kit does include several card bases, A2 size and also 5x7. It's nice cardstock, but not super heavyweight, and I'm very particular about the cardstock I use for my card bases. So instead, I like to use it for backgrounds or behind images and sentiments. The white cardstock piece is 4 inches by 5¼ inches, and I'm layering it on some of the craft brown cardstock that's included in the kit. It has a bit of a golden look to it. On the right side, I added a strip of the Twinkle Star pattern paper, layered it on the same brown cardstock. For the 3 small squares, I'm using some light cream cardstock from my stash, and for the layer cardstock, using the same brown cardstock color. I'll adhere all 3 of the squares using Barely Art glue. I think this is a really fun sketch, lots of possibilities. You could use 3 different pattern papers for the squares, or you could add 3 different images, or maybe 2 images and a sentiment. Before adhering the 3 squares down, I'll put that scrap piece of cardstock on the left side, just in the area where it goes off of the Twinkle Star pattern paper piece. Then I'll place all 3 squares down without adhesive. It'll help me to get them evenly spaced. And I'll start by adhering the center square. I'm using glue to adhere the 3 squares down. Gives me a little bit of time to get them adjusted before that glue dries completely. So after the middle square, I'll add the one on the top, and then finally this square on the bottom. I almost put that last square the wrong direction with the cardstock piece on the right side. Luckily, I did notice, otherwise it would have sat a little strange on the card with that extra layer on the right side. On the card sketch, it has a sentiment on the middle square. Instead, I'm adding one of the cardstock stickers, has a bunch of little reindeer. I did cut it about in half. And on the left side of that sticker, I'm putting some foam dimension, and that'll keep it at the same level as the square. I'll remove the release paper, add that sticker down, and then inside each of the squares, I'm putting one of the wax seal stickers. There are several colors included, but I'm using just the 3 green wax seal stickers. I'll put a little bit of Barely Art glue on the back just to make sure they stay in place. Putting the snowflake at the top, the bow at the bottom, and in the middle, I'm adding the sentiment, Warm Wishes. For embellishments, I'm adding 3 stars. These are the ephemera pieces with that gold foil finish. I'll put 2 in the upper left-hand corner and 1 on the right side underneath the sentiment. And there are 2 different sizes of the gold stars. I have the largest size at the top, and then the other 2 are the same size. So there is my finished card, and I did make 2 using this design. The second card is basically the same, but I did use different colored wax seal stickers and the sentiment Joy. Now moving on to card design number 7. I'm using more cardstock from the white card bases. This piece is 3 7/8 of an inch by 5 1/8 of an inch. And at the bottom of this panel, I'm adding a green pattern paper strip. This piece is 3 7/8 of an inch by 7/8 of an inch. For a little bit of separation and shine, I'll put a Love from Lizi peel off along the edge of the green pattern paper strip. This is the pinstripe style in clear with gold overlay, and I'm using the narrowest width. Since I will be covering up the very center, I was able to use some of the small scrap pieces. I'll wrap the end around the back, add this piece on some dark green cardstock, and this is cardstock from my stash. It's A2 size. I'll put more adhesive on the back and add my card front onto a card base. Overall, this is a very simple card design. For images and sentiment, I'm using some of the chipboard stickers. It's not a super thick chipboard, so I think you'd be able to mail the card without paying additional postage as long as you don't pop it up with any foam. I'll first add a chipboard frame. It's a dark green and it has the sentiment peace, love. There might be some other ones on there, joy, but they are cut off. These do have adhesive on the back, but as always, I'll add a little extra. Then I'll adhere the frame. And inside the frame, I'm putting one of the Nutcracker chipboard stickers. For sentiment, I'm adding Let's Be Merry, and I'll put it in the center of the green pattern paper strip at the bottom of the card. For embellishments, I'll use some Love from Lizi peel-offs, the mini circle style in gold. I'm using the medium-sized circle and putting 3 in the upper right-hand corner. So there is my finished card, and I did make 2 using this design. For the other card, I used a red frame with gold corners, added a Santa in the center, and the sentiment Holly Jolly. Now moving on to card design number 8. The card sketch is from Mojo Monday. This is number 543. I selected 4 pattern papers. I love how the designs all coordinate together beautifully. For the very background, I have the pink grid pattern paper, and on the right side, I'm using the striped rainbow design. I'll add both of those on some dark green cardstock. I'll start with the striped paper on the right side, and then I'll add the pink design. For a little bit of separation between the 2 pattern papers, I'll put a Love from Lizi peel off. And you'll only see a tiny bit, so I am using some of the small scrap pieces. This is the clear pinstripe style with gold overlay, and I'm using the narrowest width. Now I'll put adhesive on the back, add my card front onto a card base, leaving 1/8 of an inch of the white card base showing. For the strip going across the card using the green pattern paper, it's basically the same pattern as the pink that I used for the background. For the gold twinkle piece, I'll put it in the upper right-hand corner. Then I'll add that green strip across the card. And there is a gap, but that will be covered up. I noticed that green piece that goes across the card, I cut it just a tiny bit too short. I was thinking maybe it would be covered up when I add the circle, but you'll still be able to see that very right side, so I needed to fix it. I'll peel up just part of it, cut it at an angle, then I'll reposition the right piece so now it's flush on the right side of the striped pattern paper. And now I'll add the white stitch circle die cut, and it covers up all those little gap areas. For an image, I'm adding the red North Polar Express train. This is one of the ephemera pieces, and I did put foam dimension on the back. I'll remove the release paper, add the train inside the circle. For a sentiment, I'm adding special delivery, and this is one of the sentiment ephemera pieces. I'll adhere it in the upper right-hand corner. And then a final finishing touch using one of the cardstock stickers, this little green banner. I'll adhere it in the upper left-hand corner. So there is my finished card, and I did make 2 using this design. For card design number 9, the card sketch is from Sketch Saturday. This is number 778. One of my favorite pattern papers from the paper pad is this lovely plaid design, red, pink, green, and white. I'll be using it for the background. For this small rectangle piece on the left side, using more of this green paper. I think I've used that for at least 3 or 4 cards now. I'll first layer it on some dark green cardstock. Then on the left side, I'm adding a scallop border die cut, and I use some of the gold mirror cardstock. To level out the back of the green piece, I did add a scrap piece of green cardstock. On the left side of the card, that narrow strip, I'm using some of the red tone-on-tone pattern paper that has lots of Christmas sentiments, although it's a small strip so you really can't see any of the words. After I adhere that down, I'll layer the plaid paper on red cardstock. And this is red cardstock that's included in the kit. I'll put adhesive on the back and add my card front onto a card base. Next, I'll add the green piece with the gold scallop, put barely art glue on the back, and adhere it in the upper left-hand corner. Now on the card sketch, it has a vertical oval. I'm switching that up and adding a horizontal oval. The horizontal direction works better with the floral ephemera piece. I used a stitched oval die set from Lizi. And the cardstock I use for the white oval is from one of the card bases. Before adhering it down, I'll put a scrap piece of cardstock on the back side. And for that scrap cardstock piece, I use the next size down oval. That way it fits perfectly behind the white oval. And I did cut off about 1.5 inches off the scrap oval piece. I'll put glue on the back and adhere it in place. Now I'll add the poinsettia floral image, and I did pop it up using more foam dimension. I used both the small and large foam squares from scrapbook.com in the 1mm thickness. I'll add the floral image in the center of the oval. For a sentiment, I'm adding the word joyful, and this is one of the sentiment die cut pieces. I did put foam dimension on the back, but only on the bottom area where it goes off of the oval and none behind the letter J. For embellishments, I'm using more Love from Lizi peel-offs, the mini circle style in gold mirror. I'll put 3 around the sentiment on the right side. So there is my finished card, and I did make 2 using this design. Now moving on to card design number 10, and this is my final card design. The sketch is from Freshly Made Sketches. It's number 693. I thought this looked like a really fun sketch to use up lots of the pattern paper scraps. For the background of my card, using the lighter craft cardstock that's included in the kit. This piece is 5 1/4 inch by 4 inches, and I'm adding it on some dark green cardstock. And this is green cardstock from my stash. It's Basil's avocado color. After putting my card front onto a card base, I'll add all 8 of the narrow strips. I'll also be adding a large stitched oval die cut, and I use more of the card base cardstock for that. To help get the placement of all 8 narrow strips, I'm holding this stitched oval die cut over the card, but I'm not adhering it down yet. A couple of the strips I'm using duplicates. The 2 reds are different, and the pink and the stripe paper are different. So 2 of the gold chevron and 2 of the red pattern paper. I'll start off by adding the 2 gold and white chevron pieces. Then I'll put the striped piece in the center. Well, it's kind of in the center since there's 8 pieces instead of an odd number. I'll put one of the reds on the left side. Now for the 2 green pieces, since I use this pattern paper a lot for my cards, I didn't have a piece that was long enough. So most of these strips are 3 3/4 of an inch long. This one was a little bit too short. No worries, since the center will be covered up, I'll simply cut those green strips in half. After adhering the first half down, when I add the second half, I'll make sure it's in the same line so it looks like it's one piece. No one has to know that that piece is too short. Now do the same thing for the second green piece. And I also added the last red piece on the right side. Then the final strip, the pink piece, will go on the left side. Now I can add the stitched oval die cut, and I'll adhere it down using glue. For an image and sentiment, I'm using more ephemera pieces, this trio cluster of ornaments, and the sentiment joy. And I did put foam dimension on the back of the image and sentiment. So this card will be just a little bit thicker. The foam dimension is 1 millimeter, so with those 2 layers, it'll be 2 millimeters thick with foam. I made sure to add plenty of foam behind the image, and I did need to cut some of the small foam squares in half to fit behind the narrow areas. After removing the release paper, I'll add the ornament image on the center of the oval. And for the sentiment, I'm adding it on the middle ornament, the green, toward the top. So there is my finished card. This one was really fun to make. I think I'll be using this sketch quite a bit. Perfect for finishing off those pattern paper scraps. Now here's another look at the 20 cards I made using Spellbinders' brand new mega Christmas kit called Merry Moments. This kit is packed full of fun Christmas holiday goodies. I made 20 cards and I still have a ton of product left over. If you are interested in the kit or any of the products I used in this video, I do have links in the description box below. There are a few kit products that you can buy individually, so if you only want those products, that's an option, or if you want to expand your kit even more, you can add on to it. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.